Thank you for being here. It's a lousy Saturday evening here in New York. Winter doesn't seem to go away because it is almost snowing here with flurries and snow coming down. So not a good day. But anyway, so thank you again for being here. What are we going to be doing? Basically, we will be working with Selenium and C#. The way this training is going to run is we will be meeting for 8 sessions. Each session is going to be 2 hours long, and it is going to be on the weekends, on the Saturdays and Sundays. And the timings is sort of like iffy, meaning that right now we have decided that we would be doing, let's say, from 3 to 5. But I am flexible. I'm open on changing that time because the reason that we kept it from 3 to 5 is because we have some church-going folks in the audience, and they prefer to do it a little bit later in the day because in the mornings, I guess, they're going to church. So I can understand that, but they are still open with the flexible, a little bit flexible with the timing. They want to start around like 1 o'clock, so we might also be able to do that. And this is going to be both Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays and Sundays. So we'll be meeting 2 hours for each day. Now, we have been doing these kind of trainings for a little over 5 years now, and we have been doing so many other courses. You could look into the courses that we have been providing training on. Selenium with Java is one of the most popular courses that we have. Now, the reason we recently started off with C#.NET is because there is a huge demand. All of a sudden, people are starting to look at Selenium with C#. In this session, we have some corporate, people who are taking this training. So I welcome you folks, and appreciate the fact that you are here and you want to learn, the C# version of it, because they have already taken training with me on Java, and they are back with the C#. So as far as the course is concerned, the course is going to be totally hands-on, meaning that on day 1, I will be doing a little bit of talking. Today is day 1, so you will find me like babbling around here and there, talking about things. But once we get started with the project, we will be total hands-on. What are we going to be learning in this course? The idea here is to build a framework. You would be learning as how to build framework, and the language that we'll be using to write the code will be C#.NET. Now, a lot of folks have taken the training with Java, so you will find that this training is going to be different from what you have done in Java, in the sense that people who are using C#.NET are mostly people that have their applications built using Microsoft technologies. So Microsoft technologies is basically about all .NET languages. So either it's VB.NET, C#.NET, and the Microsoft stack is made up of many different things, and SharePoint is one of them. And fortunately for you folks, I will be covering some SharePoint as a part of this course as well. So you will have access to the software, because SharePoint and Selenium C#.NET, the tools that we'll be doing, will rather be using, are not necessarily open source, unlike Java, where we have everything open source. You don't really have to pay anything. Here, since it is coming from, we will be using Microsoft tools, and Microsoft licensed their tools, so we will be basically be using the evaluation versions of the software. So what do we need to get started? To get started, you would need, the tool is Visual Studio. So let's see where we're going to be getting Visual Studio for ourselves. So if I say download Microsoft Visual Studio. Now, notice right here it says that, hey, which version of Visual Studio do you want? Because there is a 2010, 2012, 2013. Well, why don't we go with the latest one, which is 2013? All right, so we will be clicking on this link to download. And as you can see, they say that, hey, you could get everything for free. Not technically true, because we will, even though they offer something called Express Edition, but unfortunately we will not be using the Express Editions. So we got to be using anything but the Express Edition. So what are those other things that we could be using? So Visual Studio comes as professional. Visual Studio comes as ultimate. Now the version that I have, it's an ultimate version of Visual Studio. You don't really need it unless you are dealing with TFS, Team Foundation Server. Now I'm debating myself whether to include Team Foundation Server in this course or not. Because the issue here is the access to the software. So I want to make it as easy as I can for you folks to use these softwares without paying anything for it. If I have to buy, I will buy, and I will give you access to our TFS. So in fact, we already have TFS. So once you become a member, once you make the payments and all that, we will give you the access to the TFS, and we will be having our test cases. We will be putting our test cases using MTM, which is the Microsoft Test Manager. We'll be creating our test cases. That's the tool, and that is a tool like Jira. That's a tool like Quality Center, QC. So Microsoft has that tool. It is called MTM, Microsoft Test Manager. So we'll be using that MTM to create our test cases. And once we create our test cases, we got to upload the test cases onto the TFS. So I'll be showing you as how to do the uploading into. Now, you might question, like, why are we learning these things? Now, one of the reasons you want to know these things is because if you learn C#.NET as the language to create your automated scripts, that means that you belong to a special group, an elite group that is using C#.NET as the language. Because if I have to put a number, I would say that about 70% or a little bit more of 70% are using Selenium with Java. So the rest is a combination of other languages. So now you are into a special group, but this special group, there are the pros and cons for you to fall into this group. The good things, the advantages for you to be in this group is you are special people now, because if any company is using C#.NET, then you are that limited number of supply that is out there for that demand. So if there is a demand, if there is a need for a C#.NET person in Selenium, there are not that many people out there. So, thank yourself that you are doing this, because you could be making, tremendous amount of money with this, because there are not that many people out there. So, the going rate right now in United States, as far as the major concentration is concerned, if you take the East Coast or the West Coast or big cities, happening cities, let's say Boston, New York, or if you go on California, like let's say Bay Area, these areas, you're talking roughly on an average of $60 to $70 per hour, right? By the end of this training, I can guarantee you, I want you to hear me again. I can guarantee you that you would learn if you follow what I tell you to do, if you complete the 8 exercises that we want you to complete, 8 challenges that we will give you out to do. If you complete them, I can guarantee you, you would be making that kind of a money, because right now there is a bad need of C#.NET people, and then there is not that many people out there who knows this, right? So consider yourself to be you know, one of those smart and the luckiest people that you're doing it only because the demand is there. Not that there is no demand for Selenium with Java. There is equal demand, but there is also supply there. There's a lot of people out there who knows that. So in your case, you will be belonging to that limited group. Okay. With that said, it comes with a lot of responsibilities. Money that they're going to be paying you $70 per hour, or let's take a conservative number. The conservative number is, let's say, you know, bring it down to $50 an hour. $50 an hour, if you translate, if you convert that into a year annual salary, that is $100,000 we are talking about. So in order for you to earn $100,000, you have to know certain things. And what are those things? Again, TFS is a part of it. MTM is a part of it. Believe it or not, SharePoint will also be a part of it. So in this course, I will be keeping you on your toes for the next 8 sessions. It is going to be a fast-paced course. You will learn a lot of stuff in this course. I am guaranteeing you that you will learn a lot of them. So things are going to be new for you. You're going to be taking some time to adjust to these new tools and to these new technologies. So the first few classes are going to be, you know, a little bit challenging for you. So to help you, what we do is we're going to be giving you the videos in advance. So I have all the videos that you need for you to get started, and I'm just logging in to show you that you have a good, once you sign up with us, you have a good, let's say, forgive me, these are the different courses that we have done here in the past. So I'm looking for, let me go into the list view, and I'm looking for Selenium with C#. Here it is. Okay, so as you can see, there are about 35 videos already in here, right? So you will have access to all of these videos immediately. So we are talking about the installation, different installation, TFS installation, and then some, you know, heads up or good, strong legs you have to have in order to get into it. So I tone your scripting by taking you into C#. So there's a good, serious, intense introduction to C# that we will be doing with a lot of object-oriented programming. And I don't expect you to have any sort of background, meaning if you have done some scripting in the past, that's a good thing, meaning if you have done some VB script or if you have done some Java and all that, that's a good thing. But I'm going to take or make an assumption that you are starting off without, you know, major background in programming. So I'm going to be starting off pretty basic, but I will do it, you know, very fast, very intense, and you have to just follow me and then try and understand what we are doing. So there's going to be a good introduction to C#, and then there is these MTM, because you need to know how to use the MTM. Now, the reason, again, you would say that, hey, I have my knowledge in Quality Center and I want to use that knowledge. Well, that is a good thing that you know Quality Center, and that's a good thing that you know Jira and all that. But technically, you would be working with Microsoft technologies developers, meaning it will be a Microsoft shop, meaning they are going to use Visual Studio, they are going to use SharePoint, they are going to use Team Foundation Server, they are going to use MTM. So you know, expect that you should be knowing all of those things, and that's exactly what I try to do in this course and try to give you all that. So that's basically what is in the offering as far as this course is concerned. 4 weeks and 8 sessions is what we will be doing. Okay, Katrina, we got to find out what's going on. I don't look into your account. Teresa, she does, so I will bring it up with her, and then she will look into it and then answer that. All right. Okay. So if you have purchased it, then you should have it, and she will give it to you. Okay. Now, if you have any questions so far, feel free ask me because we want to make it as an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please do ask me these, whatever questions you have. Okay. As of now, this is what we will be doing. I'm going to be starting off with gathering the tools. So we're going to go and talk about the softwares that you need to download on your machine. Now, for one, I have Visual Studio. As you can see, I have my Visual Studio Ultimate version of it. Now, they come as an evaluation copy, so you have a good 180 days, depending on what software you're downloading, you have 180 days to 120 days to 90 days that you could be using to download these things. All right. So I have the Ultimate version. So you don't go with the Express edition. Other than the Express edition, anything you could download from Microsoft, and that should technically work for whatever we are going to be doing. All right. Okay. So again, I want to show you that I have 2013 Ultimate version. Now, how to download, where to download, rather than taking your time in this session, I would ask you to watch these videos, right? And they will walk you through as how to download, how to install, and stuff like that. All right. So just Google it and just go and then download. So they show you like different versions of it. So Microsoft does not let you download without you identifying yourself, meaning you have to have a Microsoft account. So if you don't have a Microsoft account, because they want you to have a Microsoft account. You could basically sign up for a Microsoft account. So Hotmail is a Microsoft account, or Outlook is a Microsoft account. Live is a Microsoft account. So you could use that to go and then create an account for yourself. Once you create an account for yourself, then you should be now, there's a question like 2012 Express desktop works for it. Now, try to keep away from Express editions. The only reason for that is we are going to be doing so much of it that Express will not help you. So you have to download the evaluation copy of it. So evaluation copies, they run for, as I said, different softwares have different expiration date. They run for 180 days. They run for 90 days, and on top of that, we will also help you with something called the VMware. So if you have a virtual machine, I will be able to help you out with working with a virtual machine. What a virtual machine is, as you can see, I have a System 1, System 2, I have a SharePoint, and I have for the Hadoop, we use this Hortonworks. Basically, it's a machine inside a machine. So we have right now. This is my main system, which is my host. Right inside it, you could have like one more machine, not one, but you could have multiple machines inside it. Just to give you an example, I have this System 2. If I start, this is a Windows 7 machine that I have. I have a Windows 2012 server. We have a XP. We have all that is explained again as how to do all that in our video section, and also in something that we call artifacts to download. And if you go to artifacts to download, over here is the documentation that walks you through as how to set it up. What is a virtual box? How do you install it? And I've given you the software here. You could download the software. It comes from Oracle. This is an Oracle VMware. And this we said for load runner class, but we could use it for any class. That is another way of doing it. But it comes again with certain limitations. The limitations is your main machine, your host. So if you see here, I have inside this, I have one more machine, right? So if you see here, I have one more machine here. This is my main machine. This is my host, or this is my main machine. And inside that, I could have as many number of machines as I want. And we use it for SOAP UI classes. We use it for load runner classes. We use it for, so you could also have a setup like that. But the problem is your main machine, or your host as we want to call it. If you go from control panel, to start to control panel, and if you are looking at let's say something like this, just go into the category, go with a large, and if you go into the system, this will give you basically the configuration of your system. And if you see, I have a 16 gigabyte of RAM I have. Okay, so chances are you don't have 16 gigabyte. If you have 8 gigabyte, you are good to go. If you have 4 gigabyte, you cannot do what I am suggesting here. You cannot do, because 4 gigabyte will not be enough for you to do 2 machines. Machine inside a machine will be a problem, so you cannot do it. Since this is my bread and butter, so basically I invest in my machine, and I got one of the state-of-the-art machine. This is a good machine that we have, and it runs with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and so I can do without any issues, with much ease. I can do machine inside a machine, only because I have a lot of RAM. I have 16 gigs of RAM. So if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We can go ahead with something like on your main machine, you could download the evaluation software. The difference between MTM and MS Test is MTM is basically a test management tool. So you basically use it more for the manual testers and all that. They would be writing their test cases into it. MS Test is more for it's sort of like a tool that offers you some sort of like a framework for testing purpose. It's not for documenting your test cases and all that. So for documentation of your test cases and all that, you have to use the MTM, which is a Microsoft Test Manager. Okay, again, once you become a student, you will have access to all of these things for you to make a virtual machine, where to download and all that. You should be able to do all that. All right, so as of today, I will make an assumption that you would like to download it on you have only one machine, no virtual machine environment and all that, so you want to download it. So for downloading purpose, you will just Google, and after you Google, you can download. So again, Google to download Visual Studio 2013. You go to Microsoft, here are download Visual Studio 2000 available, so you could download different versions of it. They have redundant sites. They have multiple sites basically doing the same thing. Now, as you can see, download a free 90-day trial. So if you come over here, so let me just copy paste this and share it with you so that you can go ahead and then you could download it from here. Now, if you look up here, you have again 90 days, and you could take a ultimate version, premium version, professional version, test professional, and Team Foundation Server. Don't download Team Foundation. No need to download and install, because I will give you the access in the cloud. So I will give you access to. I'll make you a member of our Team Foundation server that we have in the cloud, and you could use that. And for those of you folks who have already paid and watched the videos, you already know what I'm talking about. So it's fine. You could download professional, you could download ultimate. So why not the best? Now, if you ask me what the difference is, ultimate will talk to, as the name goes, it talks to everything in the Microsoft stack, in everything in the enterprise, meaning that Ultimate will be able to talk to TFS, Team Foundation Server. It'll be able to talk to your SharePoint. It'll be able to integrate with all of the other tools. Now, otherwise, what you have to do is you have to get out of this tool in order to interact with TFS and all that. So that's why I would suggest that you go and use the Ultimate version. Okay, that's what I have over here. 90 days is what we will be using it for. Now, believe it or not, even after 90 days, I'm using the evaluation version of it, right? And I can tell you, I have passed 90 days. at 90 days, it will say that it expired. Now, but it gives you an option of, extending it. So you could extend it, no, I'm not going to give you the details today. I'll let you come back and then I'll give you the details for how to extend it. Okay, anyway, so that's that. So let's get going. So we want to use Visual Studio as the tool to do the testing using Selenium C#. So C# is a language like any other language. There are a couple of things about C# that you got to know. So let's discuss a little bit about what those things are that you need to know in order for you to do C#. Give me a second. Okay, let me plug in my. Okay, so if you're talking about any language to learn, there's so many good languages which are out there, Java being a most popular language which is out there. But if you need to learn any language, it doesn't matter what language. Of course, we could be talking about Java, we could be talking about C#.NET because Selenium does all this. We could be talking about Ruby. We could be talking about, you fill in the blank and then you could. So main things that you got to be knowing about every language is, if you've taken a course with me in the past, I have told you about this, and you just stick to it. I mean, don't, you have to come up with a plan, and you got to keep yourself working towards it, because scripting is, is difficult, but at the same time, who are you? Are you a tester or are you a developer? Are you a programmer? If you're a programmer, then you have to be having a good, decent, strong knowledge of whatever programming language you're working with. But if you're a tester, you got to know certain things so that you could get your job done. And the job is all about creating a framework. So you have to create a framework. So in order to create a framework, there are things that you got to know. So first thing is you have to, every language talks about variables. So you got to be knowing about variables. What are variables? How do you create them? How do you use them in your script? So we are talking about how to create them and how to assign values to the variables and how to use them in your script. Your script, right? So basically, that's what you need to know as far as variables are concerned. Now, probably like 10 minutes and then you would know everything about variables, because variables are nothing but placeholders. They will hold some data. So the data can be of different types. So you got to be knowing, data types of what you are going to be storing inside the variables. Now, we all know data types. There can be string data type. There can be string. There can be, let's say, long data type. There can be integer data type. There can be double data type. There can be currency data type. So there can be date data type, different types of data. Right? So you got to know as how to create, and so sometimes you cannot really create everything through a variable. So what if you have to store too many objects, right? Not objects. If you have to store too much of data of the same type, right? So at that time, rather than creating more than one variable, you can create something called an array, right? So we will learn about what are arrays, how do you create them. The arrays can be of single dimensional type or multi-dimensional type. So how do you create single dimensional arrays, multi-dimensional arrays is what we will be learning in this course. And then we'll also be looking into, after you do all of this, the most important thing is you should know about functions, right? What are functions? How do you create functions in C#? Now, functions are simple functions, and functions can be a little bit complex. Complex in the sense that when you create a function, you can supply some parameters to a function. A simple function is a function with no parameters. So no parameters, and there is a function with multiple parameters. So when you're passing parameters to a function, how do you create it? How do you pass data into it? How do you return data from a function? A function can return pretty much any type of data. It can be like string, long, integer, double, data, or it can also return an array. It can return objects. So talking about objects, we have to know what exactly is an object, right? So our focus will be basically learning all of these things, but we're not going to be bogged down learning about these things and not focusing on our main objective, which is software testing. So we are learning these things because we want to use these things, classes, objects, and all that, so that we can do our testing. So our testing is nothing but building a nice framework using C#.NET. So in order to build that framework, you have to use some tool, because in order to write your code, the code will be using this language. So let's say we learn all of these things plus some more, like which I have not written here. Like you have to know conditional logic. Conditional logic is about your ability to write if statements. So you should know how to write if, else if, else, right? You should know about that, right? So that is conditional logic. So we'll be learning that. And while doing all that, we'll also be learning about loops because we want to repeat our actions. If you want to repeat your actions, then you have to start using loops. There are different types of loops. There is something called a for loop. There is something called a while loop. There is something called a do while loop. So I'm going to explain you the differences of all that. So these things sound like difficult or challenging, but anything you do for the first time, anything you try to listen to or try to experiment the first time, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I don't want to give out the details, but you know what I'm talking about. Anything could be a challenge, right? Interesting that is for you, and how you are dying to do it. But if you're doing it for the first time, and that is going to be a challenge. I mean, bungee jumping is a challenge, right? Rock climbing is going to be a challenge. Forget about all that adventurous stuff. Driving a car was a challenge. If you go back like a few years in your life and then recall that moment when you were sitting in the driver's seat and then you did not know whether, what you should be doing. You were looking at so many things in the car. Today you take it for granted only because, we've been doing it for for such a long time. The same goes with programming as well. So if you keep doing it for again and again and again and again, it becomes, second nature. So basically you will be good at it, very good at it. So the objective that we are here to meet is to learn about Selenium and to build frameworks using language. Language is C#, and for that we have to be using a tool. And the tool, it's not just tool, but the tools is what we will be using. The tools will be Visual Studio is the most important tool that we have to be using. Apart from Visual Studio, as I said, we will also be dealing with the Team Foundation Server. We'll be dealing with Microsoft Test Manager. We'll be dealing with, believe it or not, SharePoint. Now, what is this going to do to your resume? I can tell you, your resume is all of a sudden, just by paying $499 that you are paying for this course, and some got it much cheaper. They got it not for $499, they got it for $199. You'd say, how in the world they got it for $199 and I paid $499? Well, I would say you have not seen this because we have mentioned it to you here many times that you go with this 6 course, right? If you go with 6 course, that's $1,200. $1,200 divided by 6 is 200. So less than 200 because it's $11.99. So less than 200. So you don't really have to pay $500 that you are paying for this course today. because you are taking it as a single course. If you take it as a single course, you're paying $500. You don't want to come to the class, that's fine. You just get the videos for $100 less. What else will you not get if you don't come to the class? Well, there are going to be eight assignments. So when you do those assignments, you will be basically submitting that assignment to us. We will be looking into that assignment. If you have done something wrong, we will guide you. We will tell you what you have done wrong. And if you have any questions, this is an interactive session, right? So there will be a sort of like I will give you an opportunity for a Q&A at the end of the session. And it's not necessarily that you have to wait till the end of the session. Feel free, jump in, ask me questions. I have muted you right now, meaning that you cannot talk. Not literally you cannot talk. I mean, you can talk, but I don't know what's going on in your background, like in your living rooms, in your, wherever you are. Some folks, they sit in Starbucks and then they hear me out, or sometimes they are in, so you never know where you are. So there could be a lot of background noise there. So we have muted you, but that doesn't mean that you cannot ask a question. So if you want to ask a question, you could do it in two ways. You could either put it in the chat window, or you could click on that little icon next to you, and when you do that, your name starts blinking here, and I know that, let's say Haiti wants to talk to me, or let's say Dilip wants to talk to me, Danielle wants to talk to me, Brad wants to talk to me. So that's how I can be interacting with you. So coming back to, you can take the videos, or if you're debating, you could go down and scroll down and get, believe it or not, for $5.99 you get 2 courses, right? What a deal, right? It's not about money. You got to look into what is the return on your investment. Why are you spending this, $3.99, $4.99? What is that you're going to be getting as a return of it? Right? I don't want to tell you that. You go to dice.com and you look at the opportunities that you have. So you say Selenium C#, right? And notice I'm looking at Hicksville, New York. I don't want to be. I don't want you to get surprised. No jobs. What? Yeah, no jobs in Hicksville, right? Of course, no job. Who knows Hicksville? Who in the world knows about Hicksville? Nobody. Well, there are many jobs. As you can see, there are tremendous opportunities, good money to be made. And it doesn't matter what part of the country you are in. You could be in Denver, Colorado. You could be in Utah. You could be in California. You could be in Alpharetta, Georgia. You could be Austin, Texas. Boy, there are jobs for Selenium C#. So just for the heck of it, what are you supposed to be knowing about this? Now, of course, I mean, there are some jobs they want you to know a lot of stuff, and then there are some jobs that are like, okay, So as I was telling you, TFS, right? As I was telling you, MTM, right? So you got to be knowing these things, because if you use C#, you will be in a Microsoft shop. They are using this. Their team is using that, so you cannot be handicapped by not knowing. So this course will teach you all that, right? This course will teach you Team Foundation Server. This course will teach you MTM. This course will teach you. And then there is a good money. These are not like jobs that are fetching you like peanuts, like $30, $40 an hour. These are, don't sell yourself cheap. Don't take a job unless they offer you minimum $50 an hour. That is minimum I'm talking about. And I'm being very, very conservative. I have folks who are working $75, even $75 they are making. So you will make that kind of a money, but probably not in your very first project, but down the road you could. So it really doesn't matter whether you're in Florida, whether you are in Oregon, California, North Carolina. I mean, everywhere, all around the country, there are jobs. So this is what I want you to do. Invest yourself for next 4 weeks, 2 classes per weekend, right? Apart from that, you have to do the assignments that we give you, right? Okay, so enough of talking. Let's get going. So I will make an assumption that you have downloaded or will be downloading the software. So here we go. We have Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Studio as a tool, it is the world's, and I want you to pay attention when I say this, it is the world's most popular tool. World's most popular tool. More than 20 to 30 million people are using Visual Studio, right? Now, Visual Studio is like a one-stop shop for different people. The Visual Studio is used for developers, right? For creating code. Visual Studio is also used for testers now. Same tool, right? So, most important thing is you getting familiar with Visual Studio. So I'm not gonna, Rome was not built in a day, but Rome is here. Rome is here for how many years? More than 5,000, 7,000 years, right? Rome is here. World goes, I mean, people, they travel to Rome, they are amazed at the architecture that was used 5,000 years ago when Rome was built. But it was not built in a day. So Visual Studio will be not learned by you in a day, right? So it is going to be a slow progress. So I'm going to teach you step by step, and then you would learn it. So whatever is needed for us to get started, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing it today. All right. Okay. So in Visual Studio, once you come in here, you look at something called a start page. What you see here is a start page. All right. Okay. Now, this is in the start page. It basically shows you about what you can do. You can start a new project, you can open a project, or you can open from a source control. Source control again is TFS acts like a source control, so you have to have a connection to the TFS. So I am not going to cover this today. In fact, I'm not even going to cover that tomorrow. It is going to be somewhere like the third or fourth session or fifth session. I'll be covering about the source control, the TFS integration, and all that. So right now, we will be opening a project. We will be opening a project. So when you open a project, it is going to ask you, hey, what kind of project do you want to open? So file, new. So are you doing something with a website? Are you doing a team project? Are you going to be creating just a project? Just a project as of now, right? So you say, I want to create a project. So if you say you want to create a project, it's going to come back and say, okay, I am Visual Studio. I can create a project in C#, in Visual Basic, VB.NET, and in so many other languages. Which language do you want to use to create this project? Of course, you're going to say that you will be using C# because we are going to be using C# as the language to do Selenium testing. So now you're saying, oh, why is it taking such a long time? Well, I had download some templates today, and those templates were for SharePoint and all that, so I had downloaded, so that's why it was trying to sort of sink in. Okay, so all my life, or if not all my life, most of the part of my life, I have been dealing with Microsoft products. So I started off my career with Microsoft, and at that time, don't tell me you were not born. Because I keep getting this, I was not even born there, or I was a baby there. Well, good for you. I started my career in 1996, and I finished my master's at the time, and I started at the time. And at that time, there was no .NET. At that time, there was Visual Basic, VB6 as they call it, and that's basically what it was at the time. .NET came out in the year 2000. Right? They had the beta version of the .NET before the actual release came out, and I had the opportunity to go to Microsoft, in Seattle, because the company I was working for at that time had 3 people who were going to Microsoft. Of course, I was not in those 3 people, but the third guy, good for me and bad for him, he got sick and he couldn't travel, so I was given a chance, so I went and I was at Microsoft. So that was a beautiful moment for me in my life, that I could go to Microsoft and I could get the training from Microsoft. This is going back the year 2000, so this is 2015, 15 years back. Again, you would say, oh, I was not born. So come on, you were born. So anyways, coming back, Visual C# is the language. So if you look into new project, so there are many types of projects you could be creating. Again, as I said, this is the tool that is used by developers. This is the tool that is used by testers. So depending on who you are, you will be going and you will be using this different types of projects. So as you can see, if you want to build an application, you would be using a Windows or a WPF. WPF stands for Windows Presentation Foundation, right? It uses a language called XAML, 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 and this is like a slap in the face to Flash guys. Going back few years, Flash was a very popular technology, and the world was excited using Flash websites, Flash applications, and all that. And Microsoft was like, getting kicked around for not coming out with a good and such rich presentation sort of functionality. So the answer from Microsoft was WPF. So Microsoft came out with WPF about like 4, 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years back, and since then WPF has found like a good acceptation in the industry, and now a lot of applications are written in WPF, which uses under the hood, it uses a language called XAML, XAML, which is a distant cousin of XML, you could say. So anyway, so these are developers would be building applications like that, right, using WPF, Windows, ASP.NET applications, and Silverlight applications. WCF is these are web services, Microsoft Web Services, Windows Communication Foundation. So if you want to build web services, then you could be using WCF. Again, likewise, there are so many different things. So I don't want to, bog you down with these things. So we will go and deal with what is needed for us as testers. So for us as testers, again, there are multiple options that we have. If you look in here, if you expand Visual C#, you could go down to this. Rather than this is like everything under C#. This is everything in C#. If you want to like filter it down to web, and notice like when you click on web, only one is showing up. If you want to do mobile applications, this is the mobile applications you could be creating. So I want to create a test, right? So you should be clicking on test. So if you see under templates, right, under Visual C#, you go to test, and in test now we have these 3 types of templates that we could be using, projects we could be using. There's something called Coded UI. Now, Coded UI is a separate course, right? Coded UI is a separate course. If you want to take that course, it is a separate course, Coded UI. You could look into it. That's a separate course wherein, again, it's a Microsoft. There's no Selenium, no nothing. Microsoft has their own tool called Coded UI. So you could be using that again. If you buy that course, then you would be getting the videos of the Coded UI. As you could see here, all the videos of Coded UI, Team Foundation Server, MTM with C#.NET. So Coded UI would be the tool that we would be using. Again, about 35 videos there, and then you could be taking that course if you want to. If you do your search on that, you would find that also many jobs in Coded UI. Again, that's something different. So coming back here to I will not be dealing with that. So my way of creating our project is I could go into something called a unit test project. Now you would say, oh, how come we are doing unit test? I mean, we are not developers. We are not doing unit test. Well, this is just a template, right? This is just a template like this. It is a ready-made framework that is given to you by Microsoft. So if you have done Java, Selenium with Java, then you know that there is JUnit framework, there is TestNG framework. So by using the unit test project, you get Microsoft way of their own framework that you are incorporating using this. Now there's also another framework that you could be using, NUnit framework. So you don't see a template for it, but you could add to your project or to your Visual Studio all the files that are needed for you to create the NUnit project. So again, in the videos you will be able to see that, and once we cover NUnit, I will be showing you that. But this is just the beginning, so we are starting off with this and with just the unit test. Again, this is not necessarily the only way. Down the road, I'll show you as how to create even just using a class library. Right? So when you create a class library, all your tests would be in that, and then you would be running it through the NUnit. So I would be showing you that as well. But for now, we have to begin at some point. So I'm starting off here with the unit test, and let's give it a name. Okay, so now this being the first class, I am not bringing in 100 different things in here, but we will be, as I said, we'll be working with MTM. So in MTM, will be all your test cases that you would be creating, right? So give me a second here. If you see here, Microsoft Test Manager. So Microsoft Test Manager basically is where you will have all your test cases. They will be your, if you are like the only person who would be responsible, or if you have a team who is responsible, you have your manual testers. Your manual testers, believe it or not, they will also be asked to work with MTM. So they will be writing their test cases in MTM. Right. So once you write your test cases in MTM, and this is our the cloud for the TFS, the TrainingRite So that is the cloud for your TFS. So we will be creating our test cases in MTM, and we'll be uploading it into TFS, and we'll be updating based on our finding out any bugs or anything. All our test cases are in the cloud, and then we will be basically reporting all our findings and putting it into the cloud, so that the whole team have an idea of where our testing is going. So that's one approach, and the other approach is some of the shops or some of the places where you're going, they are using what's called SharePoint. So I'll be showing you the SharePoint piece as well when we progress in this course. Okay, for now, I just wanted to give you an idea, like MTM, you have to log in, you have to create those accounts, and I'll show you all that in the next class as logging in to the cloud, because I'll make you a member of that, and then you will be doing that. So at that time, we will have our test cases in the cloud, right? So if I take TrainingRiteVisualStudio.com, if I go, oops, one second. All right, so I have to remember my password. My biggest problem is not being able to remember my passwords, and that's causing okay. Anyway, so I had some test cases there, which I'll figure it out. So we will go through those test cases. So this is the, let's say, to begin with, I will show you that we will be doing our this is going to be our application. Let's say hello. Let's see, my friend. Okay, hang on. Give me a second. Hang on. Hang on. Sit tight. This is what happens to you when you get a little older. Hang on. Let's see. Bear with me for a second. Okay. All right. So and this is one of the projects that we'll be working on. The other project I was not able to show it to you. Some issue with my configuration with my web.config file there. So once I take care of that, we will. But the idea here is we will be working off some real life projects. So long time ago, in my previous life, I worked with JetBlue as the airline, and then we did a huge, big project at that time. So I was a little part of that project. So we did. I'm showing you a little bit piece of that project. So what they try to do in that project is they try to give you points if you take their if you buy their product, they will try to reward you. So it was like a reward program. So this reward program is universal. I mean, it doesn't matter what country you are in. Every country, every business has got their own rewards. If you go to a hotel, like a big chain like a Marriott, or if you go to Hilton, if you go to Ritz, if you go to, one of those big chains. So if you keep staying there, they give you some points. And once you accumulate n number of points, you could use those points as currency, meaning you could pay, with those points. You know what I'm talking about. So you have that the same thing for your credit card. If you keep swiping and accumulating points, and with those points you could buy, stuff with the reward. So likewise, this JetBlue, they have something like this. They have their multiple partners. They are partnering with hotels. They are partnering with ground transportation companies. They are partnering with Disney. They are partnering. So they are sort of like selling others, services, and if you go through them, they give you some points, right? So that's the whole objective or the agenda of it. So imagine that you use JetBlue as the airline, and then you are going on vacation. So you're going to, let's say, California, right? And where do you go to California? As as every tourist would do, you would go to like Hollywood and stuff like that. So you don't want to drive in California traffic. You want TrueBlue or JetBlue is offering you a service. They say that, hey, we treat you as an elite, as a rich person. So when you get off the flight at the airport, there will be a car that will come and pick you up. So it's more like a chauffeur driven service, and then it's not like a cab, but it's like a nice, neat limousine, kind of like rich people, they use that. So they are saying that, hey, use that. We not only give you the best pricing for it, but we'll also give you some points, and you will feel good about yourself. So why not live like rich, and you don't really have to pay for that. So let's say there is an application like that. So they have built an application. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to take that service, but at the same time, I don't want to call myself cheap, but I want to watch out. I don't want to pay like hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a service like that. So it has to be, economical, right? I mean, something that I can afford. And also I would like to have that luxury. So think not from a general, from a regular average person point of view. Think from a tester's point of view that, okay, developers had built this application. Now you have to test this application. So any application that you want to test will have some functionality, that will have some features into it, depending on what that application is. If that application is about paying your bills, for your electric, for your gas, for your, so be it. I mean, that will be another application. So if it is for your phone, that would be like, let's say, att wireless.com, right? I mean, so when you go in there, right, every application, majority of the application, what do you have there? I mean, basically they want you to log in, right? So they want you to log in. So there's a username and password, and then click on login, and then you would whether you are logging in or not. So every application has features like that. Login is a feature. And after you log in, what do you want to do? Probably you want to check for your balances. You check for your usage, how much money you have to pay. Now, how can you even log in unless you register with them? So there is here something called register. So all of these things, they need to be tested. They need to be tested. So there will be test cases written. So the test cases are written in MTM, right? Using MTM, those test cases will be written. And once you write the test case, where are you going to store the test cases? In Team Foundation Server. So you, as an automated tester, you will be reading those test cases, which probably a manual tester has done, or maybe you yourself. You are like a one-stop shop. They say that, hey, we're paying you $65 an hour. We want you to handle everything. All testing you handle, right? And we'll give you like 1 or 2, testers, manual testers. So manual testers, let's say, they can do so much. I mean, not to offend a manual tester, but poor people, they have limited knowledge, so they deal with Excel, they deal with tools like Jira and all that. Now here you are, an automation engineer who have much more knowledge about many more things. So they might come to you about different things, about the tools, and all. Even for MTM, they might come to you because they are new. They are manual testers. They know the concept of testing, what needs to be tested, what are test cases and all that. They know all that. But when it comes to MTM, they are new to it, so they might come to you. So you should know in and out of it, so that you could guide them, and they will do all the dirty job. The job is data entry, putting in, create a test case, big deal. Open the browser, type this, type that. That's what they're doing, and more power to them. Good for them. They're happy doing that. They are not looking forward to making more money or grow in life. So that's what they have chosen. But you are different from them because you are an automated tester. So you should be knowing that, and you should be knowing this. You should be knowing everything. So you will be learning that MTM. So right now, I'm not taking you into MTM only because I forgot the password and I could not remember it. So tomorrow, I'll take you into MTM. So right now, let's make believe that we have a test case, and here is the test case. The test case is about what? The test case is about this. Right? So here, since we were going to use their service, I was going to go to California, and from California, if I get off their airport in California, I should, sit in that limousine and go and, have a tour of Hollywood. So I want to see how much it's going to cost me. Right? So what is that? The feature is rate lookup. So the developers, they have created it. So in order for me to test it, I would click on that. Right? So in your head, just think about it. How am I going to write a script wherein Selenium is going to do this for me? Right? Selenium should go, open the browser, navigate to this thing. So as we are doing it, why don't I also write a test case in here in English so that we know what we are doing? So this is going to be the objective, or the test case is what? To test the rate lookup feature or functionality of the JetBlue frequent flyer reward system, something like that, right? Okay, so that's that. So my test steps. What are my test steps? My first test case here is for the rate lookup. Right? We might have 20 other test cases like that. What other test cases? Say, for example, reservations. You have to maybe book a reservation. So you have to know about partners, right? Once you log in into a partner, what those partners they are doing. So things like that. So right now, let's focus on the reservation. So this is the test case for the reservation. So what are my test steps? My first test step is I have to, where is this application is running in a browser. So I have to open a browser. After I open my browser, I have to do what? After I open my browser, which browser, by the way? Oh, in the industry, we use Internet Explorer, we use Google Chrome, we use, what other do we use? Firefox, you say? And what other do we use? Apple Safari. What other we use? Let's say Opera. right? And so many. So we should be knowing for as many as we can, right? And actually, if you see these videos, you have already learned, all of you folks who are, you already know how to do that, because in these videos I have shown you how to do all that, right? So these videos will show you that. I think video number 5 will show you how to run with the multiple browsers, how to run the same test in multiple browsers, how to even select them randomly and all that, how to write that code. So we will, for now, day 1, I will choose some any one of it. So open a browser, and after you open a browser, what do you want to do? And navigate, go, right? Navigate is go. Go where? Navigate to the application under test. So I have to have the URL of that application. Agree? Okay, once I have the URL of the application, I could go there, which is as a human being, as a manual tester, this is exactly what we are talking about. So let's say open a browser. So you open Firefox browser, you open a browser. You should navigate to that thingy. So that was, I think, the application is project / that. So this is where we are navigating. Next thing is click on the rate lookup, right? Link or a button, whatever it is, right? We don't even know. So that would be step number 2 is click on rate lookup. I want to call it button / link because I don't know right now. So these are the steps that we have to automate. So I clicked on that. Once you click on that, what's the next thing that you want to do? Are we going to watch the final tonight? And where is it? In Sydney or where is it? I don't know. So maybe you want to go. I mean, there's hardly 6 more hours left for the final. So you cannot make that flight because depending on where you are, I mean, if you are in Indonesia and you want to go to Australia, maybe that's a 2-3 hour flight. But if you want to go from here, from New York, it is, forget about it. It's like about 18 to 20 hour flight from here, maybe more than that. So this is all the countries we have to, now I am just trying to understand the job of a tester. How many countries are there? So they are offering this service everywhere, in Venice, in Italy, in Vienna, in Austria, Tel Aviv in Israel, Sydney, Germany. So you have to do the testing for all. So you would have completely exhausted yourself if I asked you to do the testing for this. So I blocked it for you, even though it is there, but I blocked it. It will not work, because if you say select and go, it'll say, please call center, right? 800-800-8888. Please call the call center, because it won't work, because I blocked it. I am not opening that for you. We all live here in the United States. If not all, most of us, we have some guys from UK now. For the knowledge of non-US folks, United States has got states. It is United States, so we are a group of states, 50 to be precise. So 48 are connected on the mainland, 2 are outside. One is Hawaii and the other one is Alaska. Now you would say, is this a geography class? Are you trying to teach me? No, I don't. Just for like 2 seconds, I just wanted to show off my knowledge of how much do I know about United States, because I was not born here, but still I know that there are 50 states. I know that there are 48 states connected by land and 2 outside, right? Have I been to all those states? Well, who in the world would like to go to Montana? No offense to Montana, but why would somebody live in Montana? Anyways, so let's take a look into the popular states, which is California, let's say, right? So do you want to make a reservation? No, we are talking about rate lookup. So I click here. So looking for a rate code in USA, which state? Okay, California. And I selected California. Think about it. Selenium has to do this. Selenium has to go drop down and select this. We have to write C# code to do all that, right? And then click on go. When you do that, Now this is select a pickup. Where are they selecting? Where are they selecting? Where are they picking you up? Which airport? Why did I show you Reno, Nevada? Why did I show you? Well, the application is, these days applications are smart, right? So this application, the business requirement of this application is, if you select a state, show all the surrounding airports within a radius of, let's say, 100 miles. So within California, around California, there are some neighboring states, and one of the state is Nevada. And if you go all the way, Nevada is like sort of east of, anyway, I'll stop talking about the geography. So these are the airports. So let's say we are picking up ourselves at Los Angeles airport. Where are we? Where do you want yourself to be dropped? Again, a drop-down box, and from here, let's say I want to go and see Hollywood. So I want them to drop me off at Hollywood. So I select Hollywood. And am I going alone on my honeymoon, or are we taking people? Well, you don't want to take more. At least you want to take your spouse. So so that is more than one. So probably you want to go in a car. But sometimes, depending on what part of the world you come from, there are countries where there's such jolly good people that on a honeymoon they take the whole family. So if I'm doing something like that, I gotta be taking a bus. So that's a full-size motor coach. So there's again a drop down. So I will focus only on this. Me and my spouse would go on a honeymoon. And that is supposed to be the way. All right. So what did we do? Los Angeles, Hollywood, and then click on submit. And what do you expect at this time? You expect that, hey, they should be showing me something, right? So they're showing me $85, which is fine. So this test case did pass, right? What are the chances that it will show you something other? Well, who knows? If the developer has not done a good job, then it might show you, rather than showing $85, it might show you minus $85, right? I mean, how would you pay somebody minus 85, right? That means that they would pay you. So why would they pay you if you're using their service? So there's a bug in this software. So anything crazy like that, right, is what we have to find out, and not find out just for Hollywood and Los Angeles, but we have to find out for different cities and different states. How about New York, right? If you're coming to New York, right? If you're going to Florida, is it working for Florida? Okay, in Florida, where do you want to go? You want to go to Miami, right? So is there a Miami airport showing up here or not, right? So that's what you have to, or you have to go to Orlando, right? Because you want to go to Disney. So the nearest airport is Orlando. And you want to go to Disney. Is Disney showing up here or not? So you have to do the automation so that your Selenium with C# could go and do all of these things. So once you go and select Disney is Disney World, right? And I hit that, and it is showing me $65. Nice, right? That's nice, right? So 2 states so far. Now this is becoming more like a manual testing if you come and do it like that. There are how many states? 48 states. We have to check for all of them. So I cannot be doing it. So I have to have my data about which state, what city, what, all that is somewhere in Excel. So we will be creating Excel, we'll be taking the data from Excel, passing it to the script and running all this and capturing the results and showing the results. And while doing that, we'll take some snapshots, we'll create some logs, and we'll write some beautiful code using C#.NET so that that code will become a part of our framework, so that we will write a code in such a manner that we are not just testing for TrueBlue or for this JetBlue, but down the road, if we take the code to AT&T, we might have to make some minor changes here and there, and the code should work. So what is that which you frequently would do? Take snapshots, right? Screenshots. So that screenshot code should be written in such a way that it is not dependent on JetBlue. It is not dependent on JetBlue. For that matter, it should not be dependent on AT&T, or I'm just taking these names. It should be anything, right? So there will be some code that will be shared. That is a reusable code, right? So we have to design our framework in such a way that it is not just working, but it should be some nice code. And what do you mean by nice code? Nice code is something which is easy, right? Which is easy to not only create but to maintain as well. So now that code should be reusable code, right? Meaning that you should be able to, there is no need for you to reinvent the wheel. So you should create the code once, and then majority portion of that code you should be able to just copy paste and then use it in some other project. So your investment of your time and money that you are doing, spending in here with me for the next 4 weeks should take you a long way. Right? Meaning that 4 years, 5 years from now, because technology kind of like keeps changing, but usually it's about 18 months to 24 months to 36 months maximum you could use. So for the next 36 months, for 3 years, wherever you're working, you should be able to use the code that you are creating here as a part of this class, right? Okay, so my code is reusable. My code is easy to create and maintain, and the code that we are going to be creating is scalable. Now, what do you mean by scalable? Scalability is today the application could be 14 pages, right? 14, the web application is 14 pages. Now they want to expand. They find that, oh, it's a beautiful application. People love it, and there's a need for us to do more, this and that. Okay, so it is going to be becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So that is scaling. The application is scaling. As the application is scaling, your testing you should create a framework in such a way that your testing should also scale, right? Okay, so in order to do all that, right, you have to first of all get started. Now, did you notice that I talk a little too much, right? And I'm talking and I'm not letting you ask me any questions. I'm continuously talking. So I will take a pause here and I will post a question to you. Now, we have been talking for a little over an hour, I would say, or around that time, an hour and 15-20 minutes. So let me ask you this question. How are we doing so far in you understanding me? Are you getting me? Are you understanding? Are you following what I'm trying to, where I'm trying to go, how I'm trying to steer you along with me with, the way I am presenting? If you want me to go faster, I will go faster. If you want me to go slower, I'll go slower. You would say, what are you talking about? You have not even shown us anything. So what is fast? What is slow? Show me something so that I can comment on that. Well, here it is. So let's get started. So we are going, please feel free to, jump in if you have any questions and anything. I did not even finish the test case, but I guess you got the idea because I gave you, it's not going to be like I would take a spoon and I would feed you every time. I'm going to show you how to fish. You fish. I'm not going to fish for you and cook for you, right? So you would say, why not do it? Well, I will do everything if that's what you want. I will definitely do every little thing. But guess what? I want you to also participate, right? I want you to participate, meaning that you also give your input into all this. Let's make it happen together. Let's have everybody's skin in the game, right? It's not just me who's doing it, so you should also get involved. Okay, now that I have given you some background with my blabbing all along, so let's go and do something. So I was like, just okay, here it is. So in the test, I'm going to select this and I will go and I will give it a name. And my name that I want to give here is TrainingRite, right? TrainingRite. Forget about TrainingRite, right? JetBlue, right? JetBlue, frequent flyer testing, right? Okay, now I have selected this and I will hit OK. When you do that, now Visual Studio is a monster. It's a monster, meaning there's so much of it that you are like, what is it? There's so much of stuff. Okay, we're going to start making it very easy for us. So think that there is a left side, and on the right side, there is a right top and right bottom, right? Okay, so I said right bottom, right top. I mean, the idea here is I shouldn't be saying, right top, right bottom, because if I see here, if I X out, right? If I X out, where is my top at that time? I have no top, I have no bottom, everything. So what you have to look into is not the areas, but what it is representing, right? Okay, here we go. Let's go right here up into the menu item. There are many things in here. We will be going to all of these, or majority of them, particularly to test. I'll be going quite many times to the test, and we'll also be going to this view, right? So let me take to the view and show you what were those two things that I closed. So there is something called Solution Explorer. So let me bring Solution Explorer. So I brought Solution Explorer here, right? Okay, let's focus on Solution Explorer. So if I collapse it, notice that there is a solution. What is a solution? A solution is nothing but it is an area where you could create one or more projects. If you have multiple projects, then it is a solution of many projects. If you have a single project, then it's a single project solution. So I just created a project. Remember, the project was to do the testing for JetBlue by selecting a template in Visual Studio. In C#, I selected a template called unit testing, and we came in here. So this was the project, and this project is inside the solution. For this project, let us see what this project brings in out of the box. Once you click on that, what does it have? So if you expand it, there are three things in here. There is properties, reference, and then there is something called, look at this one, most important, look at this one, is unit test1.cs, C#, right? This is that file that has all this code, if you see all this code comes from this file, unit test, and this is that. So now I will come back to properties and references in a minute, I promise you. Let me focus on this unit test, what this is. It is a pre-populated code, and notice I collapsed it. If you do a plus, it'll expand, right? Do a plus, it'll expand. Okay, what is this unit test? This is the name they give you when you create a unit test, so which is unit test 1. Can you rename it? Sure, you could rename it. Why not? Right? How do you rename it? Well, right click on that and say rename. And when you say rename, notice that it highlighted other than that CS, which is the extension of this file, which is a C#. You could rename it anything. So why not call it JetBlue frequent flyer rate quote, or rate lookup. That's exactly what it is. So why not call that? Hit enter. Now notice it is spinning, and it says that, hey, you're trying to rename a file. Now this unit test 1 might be used many places in the project. So do you want me to go and rename it in this project everywhere? All the references it has, do you want? Of course I want to do that. So I hit OK. And look what happens. Now before I hit OK, I want you to look in here, unit test 1. Right? Unit test 1, I want you to look in here. And I did not show, there were places in the reference also, and some place that it was using that. So right now with this, it will change everywhere. It'll not only, as you can see, it'll only change here, but me with saying yes, it is going to change here and many other places where it was needed to be changed. All right. So that's number 1. So this is the C# file. All our code, all our test cases will be writing inside the CS file. So let's take a look into what is there in that CS file. So I kind of like deleted it to draw your attention that the code is here. So what is there in the code? In the code, if you see, right, what is there in the code? It starts off with something called using system and using Microsoft Visual Studio Test Tools unit testing, right? So what is this using? If you have done any Java, Selenium with Java, in Eclipse, we use something called imports, right? So meaning that if the code, which is nothing but our class, the code is always inside a class. This is the code. This is the actual code. The code is all about the class and the methods inside the class. Methods means functions inside the class. So our code, right, down the road might use, right now it is empty, there is nothing in here, but down the road it might use many things. The most important thing it'll use Selenium, right? It'll use Selenium. So I have to, anytime I'm using any of those libraries, any of those external classes like Selenium, like NUnit, I have to bring them into the project first. I have to bring them into the project. The way you bring them into the project is by going into this references. So if I expand references, right now, out of the box, these are two built-in. I don't have to do anything to bring them because these are system classes. Visual Studio needs it to do anything. Visual Studio needs it, even to compile and things like that. These system classes, they need it. And since it's a test framework, it gets its attributes. See here, this test class and this test method. All that we got it from here. So if we are using any library, if we are using any of this in the project, you have to say here using, right? So first of all, I have to bring them here inside the project, and then I have to say using. So let's say I want to use a library to connect to a database. Now, if I want to use a library to connect to a database, do I have to get anything here, all these here? Do I have to bring those things here? Or I could just use, by typing it in here. So here is the deal. This is your set of classes. This is your library, right? This is your system library. This is your Microsoft Visual Studio. System library is the grandparent, meaning that everything that you want to do in Visual Studio will be coming from your system library. So let's say I want in Visual Studio, from Visual Studio, I want to go and get connected to a database. So I could do something like system dot. Now it says, you want to do something about the, let's say something about XML, right? Something about emails, something about, so there are so many ready-made or built-in inside classes inside here, right? So like that, I could also be using, let's say if I want to do some diagnostics, I could be using diagnostics. If I want to plot any graphs or plot any labels or anything, I could be using that. If I'm using any, so many things would come in here from the system. So when the time is right, I will be showing you what other libraries will be using of this. So right now I'm saying we're using system and we are using this. Now we cannot be testing without Selenium. We have to have Selenium. So first of all, Selenium does not belong to the system class because this system is Microsoft system libraries. Selenium is not Microsoft. Selenium is somewhere outside. So I have to bring Selenium into my project. So the way you bring Selenium into your project is one of the two ways. You could right click here, right? And you could say add a reference, right? Add reference. And then you have to, if you already have downloaded anything, then you could look for it in the framework. You could look for it and then you could add it. So these are built-in. So let's say I want to add, I don't want to add Selenium, but I want to add databases. So I will just go add reference because I know that from here, if I go into Microsoft and if I go into system.data, right? See here, system.data. If I take system.data and hit OK, I will bring in the library here. And now if I go here and if I say using system dot, now we should be able to see data, right? If I bring that. So I think I have not added. I did not hit OK. So I will go in here, say system.data, check it, right? Hit OK, right? And notice that system.data is here. And if I go here, that system.data was not showing. Now system.data would show, right? So these are built-in. So the idea here is I don't want to, depending on what I'm doing, I could go into references and I could say add references and look for it here. Right? You could also search for, by the way, these are in Microsoft, these are referred to as assemblies, right? DLLs or assemblies, right? So if you see here, I could look for any assembly. I could search for the assembly. These are system assemblies. Now, I can do one more thing. I could do references, and I could use manage NuGet packages. So what this is more like Maven, meaning that it is going to search for it. It is going to search for it online. See under online, it is going to search for it, and it will search for everything which are there in the external online on the cloud in the repositories out there. It will search for everything. Now, if you do all, it will show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you keep going on, hundreds of them. Now you could just say, type here Selenium, right? You say, so now it is searching online. It is searching for Selenium, and notice that it said Selenium WebDriver, right? So now if I say install, it will bring in everything here in my references. So what did I do? I right clicked on that, right? And I did not set add reference. I said manage NuGet packages, right? So when you do that, you will go under online. You could either hit all or just type in here Selenium. Type in Selenium, and once you say Selenium, it is retrieving that, and here is the Selenium WebDriver, right? So from within the tool, you could go and you could download Selenium, right? You could install Selenium. Another approach is you could go from here and you could go to Google and you could say download Selenium. You could say download Selenium. It'll take you to the Selenium website, and in the Selenium website, as you can see in the Selenium website, in the download, you could go ahead and then you could download the C# bindings. So you could Selenium C#. So you could download from here. So this is sort of like you manually are downloading. So when you say download, you will download that, and then you will unzip it. And after you unzip it, you will go inside the tool, and inside the tool, you will right click, add reference, and you will say browse. And wherever you have unzipped, like here, see I have unzipped it. So you could bring it from there. So you could just select all of them. You could select all of this, and you could sort of like select all of them, and then you could bring them in here. When you do that, this is the other approach. You have to download it manually, and then you have to get it. The difference is it's a 2, 3, 4 step process. You have to go online, search for it, and whereas the NuGet will do everything automatically for you. Manage NuGet package, and then come in here and do a Selenium, and it is going to search for it, and then you could install that, right? So as you are installing it, it is going to go, and if you close it, it will add the WebDriver. It had added the WebDriver, right? So likewise, you have to go and you have to get everything. So what are the different things that you need to get there? You need to, again, let me take into Selenium and search for it. So this will say that it already installed that, right? So we need to, depending on what we are doing, we need to install the WebDriver support class we need to install, and we need to install this WebDriver back Selenium that we need to install. RC Server, because this RC Server is dependent on that, so it took that. Mono, you don't need it. This is more for your mobile testing. So Selenium WebDriver Mono for mobile testing, you need that. Right now I don't need it. So if you go further down, this is Phantom. This is for browserless testing. Right now I don't need it. When I need, I will download. So this is enough for me. So it had everything here, right? WebDriver, ThoughtWorks, Selenium Core, and WebDriver support. Everything that I want, I have them here. Next thing is, if I want to use them, I can be going in here, and I can say, I want to use those, right? So how do you know which one to use? So this is what you do, and this comes with practice. So using, now Selenium, it is coming from a library called OpenQA. OpenQA, it comes from that library. Now this is like a hierarchy. Why do you see a dot and then a dot and then a dot and then a dot? That means that this unit testing it belongs to Test Tools. Test Tools belongs to Visual Studio. Visual Studio belongs to this Microsoft. So that's how they arrange that libraries in the hierarchy. So our Selenium basically belongs to OpenQA, and in OpenQA I have to say dot Selenium, as you can see, dot Selenium. Now, depending on which browser you want to use, what you want to do, you would be doing something else. Like see here, Firefox, Chrome, IE, and all that. First of all, we have to have this one first, right? Next thing is you will say again, now I want from this OpenQA, from Selenium, I want to use, let's say, Firefox or IE, right? Anything. So I, for one, would choose, like, let's say Firefox right now, and those are the using I would use. Next thing is, now that we covered this using, and depending on which one we want, we'll be using that. Now we will come to this one, the class. If you, this is out of the box, it gave you. The concept here is your test cases are nothing but these test methods. These are your test cases. So test cases, they have to be inside a test class. So the test class, this is the test class. So there will be one test class per file. One test class. So there is a test class. Inside the test class, there can be one or many test cases. So this is a test case. So this test case, I want to name it as, rename it as test for rate lookup. Test for rate lookup, right? Okay. Now, inside it, I want to do what? You say that this is what you want to do. You want to, these are the test steps, right? So I'm going to take these test steps and I will just copy paste here. And there will be more than two, right? Right now I took only two. There will be many. So what I'm going to do is I will, first of all, I will take them and I will sort of like comment them. So if you see here, this is the place to comment. So the way you comment is put like 2 forward slashes, put 2 forward slashes, put 2 forward slashes. That's how you comment them. So now I have to figure out a way to how to write the code to open a browser and navigate to what is the URL I have to navigate to, not this one. I have to navigate to the home page of that, which is this one. I have to navigate to that URL. So let's say this is the URL, and I will go in here. I have to navigate to this URL, right? Okay, as long as you put this 2 in front of it, it is still a comment. So what code do I have to write? Okay, now day one, if you recall, many a times in day one, what happens is people, they are shy. They are like, oh, I don't want to write any code on day one. I don't want to learn the hard way. Is there an easy way here? I don't have to write any code. You know, I want to do recording. Come on, there should be a way to do the recording. Well, surprise, surprise, there is a way. There is a way. Okay, so why don't we explore the recording part of it, right? How can we record and how can we run? And then we come back here and then I'll show it to you just just like that. I will make you a sort of like a good knowledgeable person in you know, Selenium, just like that. And then the remaining 7 classes, I will make you an expert. That is definitely happening. That is happening. Transfer of knowledge is happening. So let me show you the easier way of creating all that by going into something called this you have already known if you have done let's say Selenium with Java that you already know. Okay, to record. Visual Studio doesn't have anything to record. So to record, we have to use something called Selenium IDE. So Selenium comes as IDE. Selenium comes as RC Server, and Selenium comes as WebDriver. So our course is all about WebDriver. We'll be learning about WebDriver, creating excellent frameworks using WebDriver. But You also have to have an idea of RC. You also have to have an idea of IDE. So I'll quickly, in the next 5 minutes, I'll teach you IDE, give you good introduction about what IDE is, and then later on we will, in tomorrow's class, I will spend some more time on IDE, and then we will move on to writing some scripts for WebDriver. Okay, so since Selenium comes as IDE, RC Server, and WebDriver, let's take a look into the IDE of Selenium. So IDE does not work with Visual Studio. IDE is a separate product, let's say. So where do you go to get IDE? Again, so you would come in here to Google and say download Selenium IDE. Just say that, and it brings you here, right? Okay. I usually don't want to read stuff, right? But now I would like to read something for you, right? Now, if you notice, it said Selenium Server, and it said this driver. It is not giving me anything about the IDE, right? Why? Because IDE is a Firefox plugin, right? So if you see, I am running Firefox. So how do you know? Because see, from here, I came here, that's a Firefox, right? But if you go under help, and if you see, this is Firefox, and I'm running 34.05. This is not necessarily the latest one. Latest one is 36 or 37, but that's what I have, right? That's what I'm running, Firefox. Okay, Firefox, you could, if you right click here, if you right click somewhere here, right, notice that the menu is checked. If the menu is checked or unchecked, then you are not going to see it. If it is checked, then you're going to see these menu items on the top. So I want this menu to be checked, right? It should be, so that you could do the following. What? I want you to go under Tools. When you go under Tools, notice I have Selenium IDE. If you don't have Selenium IDE, right, it'll show you somewhere here about Selenium IDE, and you have to click on that, and then it gets installed like that. It gets installed like that. And give me a second, so that I don't want to show you all this, so I will do this. I will set it back, because this is from the previous class. It is showing you that, so I'll set it back. Okay, this is how Selenium IDE is going to open, right? So where to download Selenium IDE? As I showed you, you will say download Selenium IDE. You would come in there, and then basically it will show you that as how to download. And here is like when you click on that, there is some explanation about it and all that. So I mean, there's no need to spend time there, because I will show it to you right away here. So basically what happens here is, after you click on that, you are going to be downloading Selenium IDE, and with you downloading Selenium IDE and opening it, this is what this Selenium IDE as a tool looks like. Okay, what do you see here? You see menu items on the top. You see base URL. Base URL is basically the address of the site which you want to test. So which is the TrainingRite.net, right? Okay, what do you want to test in here? I want to do the following. I want to basically go and record my this one, right? My rate lookup. So for that, this is what I'm going to do. If you look at this, this red button here, right? That red button tells us that right now we are already recording. Now recording. Click to stop. That means that it is already recording. What is it going to record? Anything that you do in the browser, it is going to record. So I will go and I will click on this rate lookup. So because according to my test tab, after you navigate, after you open the browser, go there, what do you have to do? Click on rate lookup button. So I'm just gonna do that. I will click on the rate lookup, right? That was the first step. I did not write, but this is what I have to do. Click and select, let's say Florida, and select go, right? And here I'm clicking here and selecting what? Orlando International Airport, and here I'm selecting what? Disney World. So DI Disney World, and I will click on submit, right? And notice that there are $65, right, in this car, and I basically want to have an assertion. I want to say that, yeah, make sure that I should get this, right? So in order to do assertion, I have to do few things, which because we have limited time right now, I will not cover assertion today. So, but we have to be doing assertion. So right now, this much is good. So I will, because it was still recording, I will bring it up and notice that it had done so many things in here. It did. So I will stop the recording right now. So I stop the recording, and after you stop the recording, notice there are so many things in here, but my test case is still as untitled. So I'm going to save my test case. So I'll say file and save test case as. After you save the test case as, and this is a Java, so I'm just going to go to Selenium and in Selenium C#, and I will say I will IDE test cases, right? Here I will save this as TrainingRite and JetBlue frequent flyer rate lookup, right? So that's test. That's what I would save it as, right? So that's the test I have saved it. Okay, now I want to make sure that it works. It is working. So I have recorded it. I have to play it back. In order to play it back, I will intentionally, I will just not stay on the main website. I will stay on, let's say, Yahoo. I'll stay on Yahoo, right? And what I'm going to do is I will run this and see if it would work. Before running, there are hardly any commands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 commands. So what I would do is, if I run it, it's gonna run, because very little, it'll run so fast that we might not even be able to see it. So what I want to do is I want to configure it. See here, fast, slow. So I want to make it slow, slowest, and I want to run it. Now, if you see, there are two buttons here. There is this button and this button. The difference between the two buttons is it says play entire test suite. So if I have more than one test cases, they would show up in here and I could play the entire thing. Right now I have only one. So this is just to play one and this is to play entire. So in this scenario, either I press this or this, doesn't make any difference because there's only one. So let me just click on that. Let's see what happens. As you can see, it is doing something. Florida was selected and MCO was selected, Disney World. Click on that. And as you notice, everything happened and everything step by step happened, and then you have a green. That means that it was able to execute all of these commands. All of these commands. Now the question is, I don't know what these commands are. I don't know anything about what had happened in here. Well, that is fine, because that is exactly what we're going to be studying, right? That's what we want to study. Now, this is what we're going to be doing. What we will be doing is I will run it one more time, and I want you to watch what happens here, right? So I'm just going to go with this time to, let's say, Gmail or wherever, right? And I will come back in here and I will run. And I want you to watch the different lines that will happen, and I just keep it like that, right? So notice it started with beige color, then green, beige, green. Anything that gets executed is changing to green, right? And now everything got executed, and if you saw the browser, everything was changing, and then we came in here, everything is a go, right? Okay, now let's say if we do something and the test fail, and I will fail the test. How I would fail the test? Now you know that if I go line by line, this command, if I click on this line, this is opening what? Opening this particular website. This is the base URL, and this is the link that we want to go to. Okay, that it did. Then after that, this is the next command. So what is the command? The command is click and wait. Where is it clicking and waiting? So we have something like this. We don't even know what this is, right? Okay, so before you leave, I just want to give you an idea that it clicked on this rate lookup, right? So that rate lookup, right, is one of the element. So think about element as something that can be on a page. So you have pictures. So picture is an element. Link is an element. A text box is an element. Drop down box is an element. So in order to click a element, any element, Selenium needs to know the location of the element, or the name of the element or some details of that element. So whatever the element is, you want to do something with that element. Either you want to type into that element, you want to select from that element, you have to click on that element. So you got to do something with that element. How can you do something with that element unless you know what element it is, where it is, and all that? So where it is, what it is, in order to find out that, basically there are ways to find out. So if you want to know something about me, right, you know my name. Right? So one way is to reach me by my name. Let's say many times people call and then they don't even know my name. So they use the phone number and then they call, oh, are you the same trainer? We watch your videos on your website. Are you the same guy? You know, but they don't know my name. So that's how, right? So some references should be there. So in order for me to click on this rate lookup element, I need to know something about it. So the things that I can know about it are basically, I can deal with something called ID. If I know the name of that, or if I know the class of that, which is the CSS of that, cascade style sheet class name, or if I know something called the XPath of that, right? Now, so whenever you see these two forward slashes, you should blindly know that XPath was used. XPath was used. Now, if you go back in here and look into, in order this click and wait, what are we clicking? Something whose XPath is here. How do I know that this is XPath? Because it started with these two forward slashes. In the next thing, we are selecting from something whose ID is state. Not the XPath, but the ID. In the next one, we are clicking and waiting on something whose name is btn. So notice that there is name, this is ID, this is XPath, right? So in order to identify these things, so IDE, Selenium IDE does that all automatically by itself. It identifies when we are doing the recording, it identifies that, and it creates a command, and then when you run it next time, you have that. So this is automation, basic automation, wherein you don't have to write any code, but you could be doing your testing this way. But imagine that you have to do it for 50 states. In every state, there are so many airports, right? Orlando is not the only airport in Florida. You have Miami, you have Tallahassee, you have Jacksonville, you have Tampa, you have, I don't even know, many, right? So every time if we want to change something, we have to come in here and you have to go and then change that. So this becomes more like a manual testing then. So what's the use? I mean, even though it's running it, but for me to supply the data, if I have to come and then type the data again and again and again and again, that becomes more like a manual testing. So it would be better if we can get it to read the data from Excel. Unfortunately, Selenium IDE cannot read the data from Excel. For that, you have to use either RC Server or we have to use the WebDriver. So what we will be doing is, I have taken you like a roller coaster ride today. I've taken you everywhere. I've taken you into Visual Studio. I talked a little bit about Team Foundation Server. I took you into MTM. I took you into IDE. I talked about WebDriver. I took you into Visual Studio, and in Visual Studio we talked about some these imports. We talked about how to add the NuGet packages, and I talked about so many things. I did talk to, right? I threw 100 different things at you today, right? I made you sort of like confused, right? You're like, whoa, so many things, I don't know, hard to remember. Nothing like that. I want to give you an idea that at the end of this course, you will be almost be knowing as if something is working in the field for 4, 5, 6 years. Whatever they are knowing, you will be almost in the same level. The difference between them and you is you actually did not do it for 7 years. They might have done for 7 years, but whatever they have done for 7 years, you did it now. So you have to keep practicing, and then you will become better at it, right? But the content-wise, whatever they know, you will pretty much know almost the same thing, right? So, okay, I will take, I will stop rather here. I'll take the next part of it tomorrow, wherein I will try to put all the bits and pieces together. And here, we're going to be starting here, and then I will show you how to use the WebDriver and how to create an excellent script without you putting any effort. I will show you some tricks to create those scripts tomorrow. So tomorrow's class is going to start at 3 o'clock, 3 to 5 we will meet. I have not given you much of the time to ask any questions. You can ask me as many questions as you want because we'll have a Q&A session right now. So till you have no more questions, I will answer your questions. So I will take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever time it takes. We can finish it off right here by not covering any new material. But we will come back tomorrow and we will start to do some real testing tomorrow by me showing you how to write the scripts. Okay, so when we started off today, I have basically introduced you. I told you that you are getting into Selenium testing, so you would be dealing with the other members of your team who would be knowing things like MTM, Microsoft Test Manager, who will be knowing things like SharePoint, who will be knowing things like in and out of Visual Studio. They'll be knowing TFS. So you have to learn that. So our course is not going to be entirely 100% totally about Selenium C#, but also about the other things, because we will be taking our test case and we will be putting into the source control, which is the TFS. How to do that is, of course, you have to learn. Now, we will make believe that some manual testers have created a lot of test cases in the MTM and uploaded into TFS. So you will be reading your test cases from the TFS and you will be updating the TFS so that the other team members can look into it. Now, that's one scenario. You say, I have no clue of TFS. No problem. That's why I'm here. Why do you think you're going to be paying me money just to tell you some stories? No, I will be showing you all that. Now, another approach is people are not using TFS, right? And they are using SharePoint. So I'll be showing you as how you will be using SharePoint in a real life environment, because again, it's going to be a cloud-based. All paid members will be given access to TFS, will be given access to SharePoint, and you can log in and you can practice, you can do whatever you want to do from your own house or from your office, from wherever you are. You will have access to all that. All right, so that will happen either tomorrow or in the next class. Object-oriented programming, I will be covering everything to the point of inheritance. Polymorphism, I mean, okay, if you want, I will cover polymorphism. Those topics are data encapsulation, data hiding, inheritance, sealed class, deriving a class, parent class, all that. I will be covering, some through the live lectures, most of them through the videos. You can go deep into it, but as a tester, I don't think you need to go too deep. That is from a developer's perspective. But I will cover all that. I mean, if you want me to cover polymorphism, we will do that. Inheritance. Those are dry topics, very dry. People will pull their hair out. So what I usually try to do is cover them, but through the videos. So you can always go back and watch them. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, I have done a few things in here. Let me go back in here. Constructor overloading, I have covered inheritance, so parent-child relationship. I've covered constructors, exception handling, and all that, right? So we'll do a little bit more. How do I download Selenium IDE? I have shown you. You take Firefox, go to Google, type Selenium IDE, click on the link. It'll take you to that website. You will have a link for Selenium IDE, and you should be able to download from there. All right. So all right. So let's see. You don't have the link. Once you go there, you should find the link. If you don't have the link, let's say, you should find the link here. Here you should have the link here. Somewhere here you should have the link. Let me know if you don't see it. I think I did not see it only because I had it already installed, but you should see that link. If you don't see the link, let me know. Oh, here it is. See here, Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE is a Firefox. So this is the link. This is the previous version. This is the latest version. So you can install the latest version. So scroll down a little bit, and you should find that. All right. Okay. All right. So that's about it. If you don't have any questions now, the link for tomorrow's class will be sent either tonight or early morning tomorrow. So if you don't get a link, don't wait till the last moment. Shoot us an email, and we will send you the link. So make sure that you send us an email, right? Now, if you have a question, okay, I will unmute you, Olusau. I will unmute you. Okay, I've unmuted you. If you have a question, go ahead.
I was going to ask you about cross-browser testing.
Yeah, for the cross-browser testing, the videos are there, so you can watch the videos. I think it's a video number 4 or 5. You should be able to see the cross-browser testing. Tomorrow, I will cover that. I will show you the cross-browser testing tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So, all right, so we will see you folks tomorrow, same place, same time, 3 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, New York time. And until then, have a good night, and see you back tomorrow. Enjoy.